Hi, my name is Casey, and this is my first BookTube video. Like I said, my name is Casey. I'm 25 years old and I live in Pennsylvania in the United States. My channel is called Casey Chitaya because in Russian that means Casey Reads, and I'm currently teaching myself Russian and I really love the language. I'm a recent college graduate. I just graduated from Indiana University of Pennsylvania with a bachelor's in education. I will be certified to teach in Pennsylvania in pre-K through 4th grade of general education and pre-K through 8th grade in special education. I wanted to join the BookTube community for a while now, but I just really didn't have the time. I am an avid reader. I've always loved reading, and I really want to participate in things like Top 5 Wednesdays and tags and book hauls and book reviews and all that stuff. So I guess to start things off, I'm going to do today's Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesdays were created by Lainey over at Ginger Reads Lainey, and I'll put the link to her video in the description below. Today's Top 5 Wednesday is all about books that I've read so far this year. I haven't read that many, but what I've read has been in a lot of different series, and I don't want to put more than one book by the same author in today's Top 5. So, some of the books I wasn't all that thrilled with, but hey, they made the list. Coming in at number 5 is Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I rated this a 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I wasn't all that impressed with it, and it makes me really upset to say that because I really love John Green's books. I really enjoyed The Fault in Our Stars, Paper Towns, and Looking for Alaska, so I was really excited to read this book. That's not to say that I wasn't into this book. I read it all in a day, which with his books it doesn't take that much, I know, but I really was interested in to see what would happen next, but at the end I was just... Coming in at number 4 is If I Stay by Gail Forman. I rated this book 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I wasn't that impressed with it. I read it all in one sitting, and I did enjoy reading it, which is why I gave it 3 stars, but I'm not excited for the series to read the next book. I could be convinced to do so, but if I were to, I would have to rent it from the library or on my Amazon Kindle or something like that. I would not spend more money on this book. I was really invested in the characters, but then at the end, I just wasn't all that thrilled with it, I guess. Next, at number 3, we have How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell. I might be pronouncing that wrong, I'm not sure. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I really enjoyed it. But I read it on my Kindle, which if you were going to read this book, I would not recommend you doing because it included all the actual page numbers and the fonts that she changed in between different characters within the dragons and like Hiccup and those types of things. And there were like bloodstains on it, and there were different side notes that it was really hard to read without having a 2-page spread. You would be reading a really interesting paragraph, and you want to know what's going to happen in the next half of the sentence, and you turn the page, and it's a picture of Stoic the Vast, and you have to read all the different things around him, and then you go back to the next page, and you're kind of like, now what? So I would recommend reading this book, but not on a Kindle. I really enjoyed this. If you look at it separately from the movies have nothing to do with the book, just the characters and the kind of basic premise. But I really enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it no matter what age, but it really is a really good children's book. Coming in at number 2, we have actually the very first chapter book that I ever read, which is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. And the reason I got to reread this book is because during my student teaching placement, I was able to work with a girl in the life skills class in the middle school. She's a 6th grader. And we sat side by side and we read this book together. And every couple of chapters, we did an activity. So we did design your own chocolate bar, draw what the kids would look like as they leave the chocolate factory with Veruca covered in garbage and the like. It was a really good time, and it was really interesting to read as an adult because the last time I read this book I was 6 years old. So I've seen both movies in between, and it was just really cool to reread this book. And the number 1 book that I read so far this year is The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. It is the first book in His Dark Materials trilogy, and as you probably are aware, there is a movie adaptation of this book, but the movie is absolute garbage. It misses so many aspects of this book, and it really did not turn out well. And there's a reason why they didn't make a second and third movie, and it's because they did such a poor job. The book, however, there is so much in it. It is a fantasy book, but there's a lot of science in it, as well as theology. I was surprised at the amount of theology that was in the book. The last time that I read this book, I was about 14 years old. My grandmother got it for me for Christmas. She got me the first and the second book, The Subtle Knife, and it took me a while to read them. I wasn't that into them, but then once I got into the books, I absolutely loved them. And then I went out and bought the third book, and I have all three of them sitting with me right now. And when I graduated college, when I moved home, I saw them on my bookshelf, and I just had to reread them. And it was really cool to see how much has changed since I read them last. I understand a lot more of the different subtleties with science and religion and all of that in it. It's a really good book, and while it is aimed at the young adult and children age group, I recommend anybody can read this book. Well, that's it, I guess. It's my very first YouTube video, let alone BookTube video. So I hope it wasn't too boring to watch. Thank you for watching, and I hope you subscribe. I do have some videos planned for the future, including monthly wrap-ups, book hauls, top 5 lists. I love making lists, so I like to do that a lot. Down below, I will link my Goodreads account if you want to be friends. I'm always looking for more recommendations. So, bye!